And I'm still coming to you live from my Bunker Eyes home studio, somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is live free or die. It is not big government or bust. It is Tuesday, August the 11th in the year of our Lord 2015. We're in the second hour of this wonderful program. I think it's wonderful. And if I say it's wonderful, then it is. The number that you can call this evening if you wish to join me and speak your mind live is toll-free 603-835-3224. That's 603-835-3224. If you're a liberal, go ahead and call. I'm not going to hate you or dish you if you're a liberal and you call. I'll put you, I'll give you a full segment if that's what it takes. But in any case, Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton has gone out there. And she's got, it looks like she's picking a Republican candidate on a daily basis to attack. And this time she picked, she keeps it. I think, was it yesterday? She kind of meekly attacked Donald Trump. Well, that's probably the wrong person that you want to attack. Because Donald will just unload all barrels on you. If I look at it this way, Donald Trump is a battleship. And, he's got those 3 turrets of 16-inch guns. As well as all the smaller guns. And if you come trying to attack Donald Trump will more than likely just unleash every single gun on the Trump battles, the battleship Trump on you. It's just the way he. Americans they seem to be liking that in him. Again, brash, no holds barred, no hold back, and just unload. I do the same. In fact, I would just continually unload on Hillary Clinton. And you cannot leave out Bernie Sanders. I know, everybody thinks, well, he's not the leading guy and blah, blah, blah. Just unload on the Democrats, period. That includes Obama. That includes, Kerry, Secretary Kerry. That includes, Schumer. And that includes, the one-eyed man from Nevada, Harry Reid. Just constantly unload all your guns on those folks. Just keep them on the defensive. And every time they try to go on the offensive, you shoot them down. I mean, you just unload on them. And that's exactly what Scott Walker did to Hillary Clinton, because Hillary was out there talking about how Scott Walker, doesn't really care so much about higher education. In fact, she's out there, touting her college plan, to put it in quote unquote in reach of everyone. The new college compact, as she's calling it. And she went after Scott Walker basically to say that, Walker's state was terrible for higher education and for its citizens of Wisconsin. And Scott Walker just unloaded on her. Yeah, hey, Hillary, my state is so bad that I have frozen in-state tuition rates for 4 years for college while you were charging $225,000 or more just to show up at a college campus to give a 30-minute speech. Boom. That's what you got to do to her every single freaking time. She opens her mouth. You put a shell in there. Now, I know somebody's going to say, what do you mean? Are you advocating shooting Hillary Clinton? No, not with real, obviously, a battleship is shooting some big shells and it's not going to fit in her mouth, obviously. So I'm not advocating that you're actually shooting any type of real ordnance at Mrs. Clinton. I'm just, words. Fire words back at her. words that are truthful, words that can be devastating to her way of thinking. Just so people understand the differences and understand that she is just totally out there and wrong on just about every subject you can possibly think of that has to do with what we're going through as a nation right now. She's just wrong. I don't know actually where Clinton is right on any of the major subjects that topics that face our country right now. I don't think she's on the right side of anything. I'm trying to think of one right now. There isn't one. But hey, it's but you got to keep the pressure up. You have got to keep the pressure up on Miss Clinton, because if you don't, then she's going to be able to sneak in some stuff that can do, Republican candidates some damage and get people twisted in their thinking. They think, yeah, those Republicans are bad. But if you just take all you got to do, you don't even just take her record and keep firing shots at her. And then every time she opens her mouth, do what Scott Walker did and just turn it around back on her and fire it right back at her. Oh, yeah, huh? Okay, Hillary. Yeah, you think my state is awful for higher education and people can't afford it? Well, I've frozen college tuition for in-state schools for the past 4 years. So in other words, I've made sure that it isn't costing our students any more to go to a state school here in Wisconsin while you're out there charging $225,000 to these colleges just for showing up. Now, who's going to pay for that? Well, you're not going to make it up by selling tickets at the auditorium door. So it has to come out of what? The tuitions and fees that students are charged. And if I were a Republican governor of in your state, in a state school, if it's within your state constitution for you to do this, I would definitely make sure you put a cap on what state colleges can spend on having outside speakers come in. Because that $200,000 for a speech at a college? Who even thinks of doing? Most people, they charge maybe, if they're a big name, maybe they'll charge $30,000 or $40,000 or maybe $50,000, and most of that will go to some sort of charity. And a lot of times you'll see them give it, even liberals. Sometimes you'll see them give it back to the school for a particular program or something. But Miss Hillary, no, she takes it home to Bill and say, "Here, Bill, here's my contribution for this week." Because Bill's out there. Yeah, I charge $500,000 for a speech. I got bills to pay. I got to be able to fly all over the place on these orgy planes and orgy islands and all that kind of stuff. And I got to be able to go anywhere that Hillary goes, and Hillary's got to be able to go anywhere. I don't take her everywhere, but she's because I don't want her on the planes, but on the island. But other places that we can go together, we got to go. We got to go first class too. You can't catch us in coach. No, we got to be in first class or business class or something up there in the front of the plane, and it's got to be a big plane because we got to have room. I know it may cost a lot for tickets for a pair of us, but hey, and plus not to mention, we got to pay for our daughter, Chelsea. I know she's getting over $500,000 a year to help run our foundation, $600,000 to be exact, and she's got that $10 million spread in New York City for her and her husband, and my only grandchild. So yeah, we gotta we gotta get this money because we got bills. I got 2 houses, 2 expensive homes, and places to go and people to see and places to play. It's expensive being Bill and Hillary Clinton. I'm telling you. So I got to charge this kind of money in order for me to pay our bills. And Hillary, she's out there. She's got her own money, and she helps contribute sometimes, although she doesn't really need to because I earn so much. But we put us together. We're a powerful duo. I tell you, we're a money making machine. We got too many bills, and now she's out there running for president. She got to be able to pay for some of that stuff too. Can't have everything coming out of the campaign fund because some of it's kind of private, and if you pay for private stuff out of your campaign fund, that's kind of a no-no now. So we gotta keep up our appearances and the things that we like to do. It's just, I gotta tell you, it's just fun being a Clinton. I'm telling you, it's really fun. It's expensive, but it's fun. So as long as we can pay those bills, and the way we pay those bills is by charging this outrageous fee for speaking. She gets $250,000, I get $500,000 because I was president. And of course, if she becomes first woman president, well, by the time she gets out, she could be charging more than me. Million. I'm not gonna complain. She gets $750,000 for a speech. I get $500,000 for a speech. Hell, with all the money that we've made since leaving the White House the first time, that'll be a cakewalk. That'll be it's chump change. I'm telling you, this is what we're doing here. It's because we want the big bucks. That stupid $400,000 a year salary, that ain't nothing. It's what you make after that counts. Because we still gonna have those bills after she leaves the White House. I'm telling you. That is the reason that they're just greedy. They're greedy. Now, again, like I said, whether you like the truth or not, I'm honest about it. There are plenty of liberals who give speeches in college campi all over the country who donate a good portion, or if not all of their honorarium or speaking fee to charity or back to the college in which they speak in some form or another. But it doesn't appear that the Clintons have ever done that. And they charge an outrageous sum. So if I was a governor of a state, and if it was in the purview of my power of that particular state within the confines of their constitution, and if I could limit what a college can spend, I'll put a cap on what they can spend for a speaker, I would do that. Now, because I don't live in all 50 states, so I don't know how each state can possibly do that. But the governors of those states should know. But if I was Scott Walker, I'd be going back to Wisconsin saying, you know what? Why don't we just not only did I freeze tuition, but within the confines of our state constitution and our state laws, I put in a bill. I asked for a bill that I can sign that would limit or cap, speaking fees at state colleges. Now, private colleges, you guys are private. You can, do whatever you want, obviously, and they do. But state colleges, we're going to put this limit on there. You can't be charging, our kids $500,000 or whatever it is, or $250,000 for a 30 or 40 minute speech. And I would like to see. I saw something, my newsfeed about Black Lives Matter trying to infiltrate the Clinton event here in New Hampshire, and the Black Lives Matter were shut out because obviously you can't ask Hillary a real question that's going to make her look bad if she answers it. So the only way you can prevent somebody from asking the question is you don't let them ask the question. And how are you going to not allow a question you don't want to, that is going to be asked that you don't want to ask? Well, you don't allow them into the event so they can get within microphone or earshot to ask the question. And that's what they. I'll have to look for. I don't think that is in my paper pile at the moment, but I will have to. No, well, I'll try and find it and bring it after the break. But look, when it comes to, like I said, when it comes to defeating the left, you can't be wimpy, mamby, pamby. All you got to do is just go after them. If they say something, then you just turn it around and fire all barrels, all guns on your battleship right back at them. Totally destroy their argument. Destroy them. Because after all, that's what they're trying to do to each and every Republican candidate. Now, they're all about the personal destruction campaign. So we got to do the same thing back, but better.